Good morning and welcome to WGN TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnek. We begin this morning in Springfield. Lawmakers are set to hold a public hearing on Tuesday to talk about the COVID-19 outbreak at the LaSalle Veterans Home. Now, last week, a scathing report blamed mismanagement, a lack of planning and training for the outbreak that led to the deaths of 36 veterans. The 50-page report shows systemic problems with basic cleaning protocols, including ineffective hand sanitizer, poor hand hygiene among the staff, and that Department Director Linda Chapellavilla abdicated her responsibilities to staff members. The issue has led to outrage from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Here's what Governor Pritzker had to say just after the watchdog report was released.
If I knew then what I know now, I would not have hired her. The report, in many ways, speaks for itself. There were challenges of communication. There were challenges of people not following the protocols that were laid out for them. There were challenges of leadership not providing some of those protocols and so on. So we've been working very hard to address those literally since the challenges that occurred with COVID-19 running through the LaSalle Veterans Home.
The governor has appointed a new director to lead the department, and more than a dozen families are joining a lawsuit against the state-run LaSalle Veterans Home. Even Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth are getting involved, asking the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to step in and help veterans' homes here in Illinois. State Representative Stephanie Kifowit is the chairwoman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps herself. She'll lead Tuesday's hearing and joins me this morning for more on what to expect. Representative, good to see you again. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Paul. Good to see you as well.
So I have to start by asking you, look, both you have served in the service, so did Linda Chapellavilla. You worked with her when she was a state representative. She would not give an interview for this report that came out, so I'm sort of curious. Have you talked to her yourself about what happened?
Paul, I have not, and my frame of reference is just looking at the reports and making sure that our veterans are being taken care of now. It's very important to me as an active duty veteran to ensure that all our veterans in our homes and under the care of IDVA really get what they deserve in terms of service and in terms of their care. So I'm looking forward to correcting the situation and moving forward.
And just out of curiosity, just in terms of, did anybody know what was going on? Was she in her capacity required to report to your committee or other committees? How often was that? I mean, how did we get to the point that we got to?
Well, Paul, last year, as you recall, we had the Vision 12 report that talked about, like you said, some lack of protocols and the hand sanitizer issue, along with some other things. We had a hearing in December. Then also in Springfield, we had a hearing in January, and then she had resigned after that. So as lawmakers, we had been working and digging into this situation since last year. Since the Vision 12 report came out in November, and we're going to continue to be diligent to be there for our veterans.
And, part of the report, and you heard, again, that it talked about her abdicating her responsibilities, but the description of her leadership was not a hands-on or engaged day-to-day director, letting responsibilities fall on her chief of staff, Tony Kolbeck, and Kolbeck confirmed that that's the way things were. I just sort of curiosity, as you work with so many, agencies, directors and whatever, what is the responsibility? I mean, an argument could be made that folks further down the line handle the day-to-day operation. So how much blame goes at the top versus the folks down the line?
Well, Paul, in any situation, and in fact in the military as well, the commanding officer, the person in command, shares the brunt of the blame, I would say, in this regard. And as the governor has said, that's where accountability lies. And I think going forward, we have a new director, and under our new director, that I think things are going to be going forward and being very positive. In addition to that, the committee is going to look at more professionalizing of these appointments and to make sure that there are minimum qualifications that have to be met for these appointments so that we can be sure that people that are qualified and have the experience can be in charge of running our veterans homes and the Department of Veterans Affairs.
When this report came out, you issued a statement, as of course you would, and I was intrigued by something you wrote. You said staff members had been reaching out to you with concerns and fears. So how long had you been, had you known about this, and what steps did you take when you started getting those calls?
Well, Paul, I have to tell you, I get many emails and I got text messages from on the ground rank and file employees that care so much about our veterans. They are there on the ground floor with them in these veterans homes, and they're very concerned about things they were seeing, things that were revealed in the Vision 12 report. And I was sending those, running them up the flagpole, and I was making people aware of those situations. And in fact, I also questioned those situations when we had our hearing in December as well. So we were trying to mitigate the best we can as lawmakers, but at the end of the day, it comes down to management of the home, management of the department, and accountability.
And of course, the purpose of my questions is it's looking back, but it's also looking forward, right? As you've indicated, we have to move forward under a new director. Don't want these things to happen again. So one of the other points the report said was that there was a lack of a comprehensive plan at the home. I'm just sort of curious, should such a plan have existed? Would that again have been presented to your committee because of the close ties to veterans issues? If not, will it be in the future?
Absolutely, Paul. Back in December, we had a hearing and we asked that. Where was the comprehensive plan for the homes? That we had a senior home administrator position that had been vacant. It's now going on 2 years. That was vacant back then. We were talked about that position and why it hadn't been filled and who was in charge of that position. Case in point, with regards to comprehensive plan as negative pressure rooms. You had one nursing home that had them installed properly with windows so the nurses could observe the patients, observe the individuals, the residents. And then at LaSalle, they were installed without windows. And we found through the reports that the nurses were propping open the doors so they could observe the residents, which negates the negative pressure room. So those kind of things were brought up in our December hearing, Paul, and we're going to continue to look into that situation. In fact, this Tuesday is another hearing with regards to LaSalle Veterans Home, and we'll continue to make sure that the new director implements a plan, has a plan, and really we put our veterans first. The new director is a 30-year Navy veteran, and I was in the Marine Corps, and he's a Navy corpsman. So we get along really well, and I have faith in this new director that we can start turning around IDVA.
And indeed, Terry Prince, who you're talking about, does have 31 years, former senior advisor to the U.S. Surgeon General. Will it be about that leadership role, or is this going to be, are you going to be taking a closer look now at the team that gets developed? I think is the role you were talking about that isn't positioned is the overseer of the state's 4 veteran homes, which has been vacant since 2019. It looks like several pieces need to be put into place.
Absolutely, Paul. We're going to be looking at the organizational chart. We're going to be looking at policies and procedures that are going to be put in place. We're going to be looking at professionalizing the role of the director and looking at where all the cogs of the wheel are going to start coming together, because there has been too much uncertainty and mismanagement with our veterans homes under the previous administration, and then now that we're going to step it up, and we're definitely going to start making sure that the department is accountable to our committee.
All right, State Representative Stephanie Kifowich, chair of the Illinois House Veterans Affairs Committee. Thanks for your service to our country. Thanks for your work you do. We'll stay in touch with you as this issue develops. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Have a great day.
You do the same. All right, we're going to take our first break. Coming up next on WGN TV Political Report.
We have a map that people can count on, that's transparent, that reflects the conversations that have been happening throughout the state.
House Democrats start the redistricting process behind closed doors. See what our Capitol Bureau chief found at the State House. And still to come, the debate over whether to give Chicago an elected school board is becoming a battle of political power across the state. Imagine that. More on that later this half hour.